Dear students, today we are going to study a lesson from history. Chapter 8, Civilizing the Native, Educating the Nation. This lesson gives details about the contributions and support given by the British government for Indian education. And this lesson also gives more details about many British officials who were more interested in studying the culture, language, religion, etc. of our country. British rule not only supported or affected the people just like farmers or rulers or nawabs, tribals, etc. They also had their role in the studying system or the education system of Indian students. That's why lots of officials were appointed into India not only as educational officials by the beginning, but many of them turned to study about Indian culture, and some of them were very much interested to translate many of our different language books to English language. Such a great person who studied Indian languages and also much interested to translate Indian books were a person called William Jones, who was a judge in the or junior judge in the Supreme Court at Calcutta, and he came to India in 1783. And he is a great person who is also a linguist, means a person who known lots of different languages and also studying different languages. So linguist, language. So William Jones was a really a linguist. He studied lots of different languages just like Greek, Latin, French, English, Arabic, then etc. Persian also. And he also much interested in the Sanskrit language of India, and also started to go through the grammar or the philosophy etc. of our Indian system. A person who is interested to study the culture, language etc. of the Eastern countries or Asian country, he is called an Orientalist. So William Jones was an Orientalist. Being an Orientalist, he was much interested in Indian or Asian language, culture, etc. And he got friends like Henry Thomas Colebrooke and Nathaniel Hellhead. Both of them, along with William Jones, started an organization or a society in India in the name of Asiatic Society of Bengal. And under this label, a journal or a publication also started in the name of Asiatic Researches. All these shows their interest and also their sympathy towards Indian culture, religion, philosophy, etc. And this Orientalist believed that by studying Asian culture or Indian language, religion, etc., it would help them to rule or to make new rules and regulations supportive or favorable for Indians, because it is easy to rule a group of people knowing their own language. Without knowing the local language or the language of a country, making rules and regulation is not logic. So Orientalists were supporters of studying Indian languages as a support for making effective administration for country. As a result, lots of British officials in India also interested to establish schools, colleges, madrasas, etc. in order to give more support for Indian religion, language, etc. to teach for the children, along with the Western language also. And they argued that lots of interest need to or importance need to give for Asian languages except for the Western culture also. As a result, education institutions were started to set up in India for Indian religious or languages. In 1781, madrasas were started to set up in Calcutta for Arabic or Islamic studies, and Hindu colleges were also started to establish in Benares in 1791. Both these institutions give more importance for education based on Indian language and Indian culture. But children, we can say that all the British officials in India were not supporters of Indian language or Asian culture, Many of the officials were really opposed to the idea of giving importance for Indian language, culture, educational facilities, etc. They believed that the spending of money for Indian education is really a waste of time and energy. And such group of people also argued that it is no need to waste time or energy for giving education for Indian language or culture, and also no need to give no any speciality for any kind of education system in India except giving Western education in English medium. Two such greatest opponents of Orientalist in India were James Mill and Thomas Babington Macaulay. Both of them were really against the idea of giving education for Indians in Indian language and Indian religious matters. But they believed that in order to civilize the people of India and also to give them more scientific ideologies about Western culture, etc., need to give education in in English language, and also need to teach them scientific or updated details about the Western culture and language. And in order to show the importance of education in in English language, once Thomas Babington Macaulay declared that single shelf of a good European library was worth the whole native literature of India and Arabia. Such a ridiculed word also that he used. That means he sternly or strongly opposed the idea to give education for Indians in Indian or in any other languages except English. That's why British government also started to think about a new change needed in Indian education. That's why different people or important personalities were sent from London to England to India to study about the Indian system and also to give proper changes in the education system of India. In order to modify and also to regulate the English Indian education, British government introduced two steps. One is called Macaulay's Minute of 1835 and Wood's Despatch of 1854. These two steps taken by the Britishers were mainly to give education in India must be through English or medium. Macaulay strongly believed that only through English education Indians will be having an opportunity to know the world and also to civilize by themselves. And he also emphasized the need to teach English language in order to make more changes in Indian administration using Indians for British administration by the Indians. The two important recommendations of Macaulay's Minute of 1835 was to make English education compulsory in India and to stop religious institutions in India. As per these two recommendations, number of madrasas or colleges etc. were started to close up. As per Macaulay's Minute, the then Governor General of India, Lord William Bentic, introduced English education to Indian educational system. In 1854, under the leadership of Charles Wood, another education or commission came to India, that is known as Wood's Despatch. And this Wood's Despatch also insisted on European learning or English education, and they opposed Oriental knowledge. One of the practical benefit of the Wood's Despatch was economical. That means by this European learning or English education, Charles Wood believed that it will enable Indians to recognize the advantages of English education and they will try to modernize themselves. And he believed that modern education, that is European learning, will make Indians to identify the importance of developing the resources of country through which trade and commerce will develop. So through Charles Wood and Wood's dispatch, what they meant that India will become a country where the Indians will start to think about importing goods from British country, which will give a chance for the Britishers to earn more goods, more profit also. Because through English education, people will start to identify the different lifestyle etc. of the European countries, and they will prefer to use or to purchase British goods or European goods to their daily life. So through this education system, one of the profit or one of the benefit that Charles Wood recommended for the British government was really economical profit. And the another important profit out of this English education as per Wood's dispatch was the improvement in moral character of Indians. That means through this European learning, he believed that Indians will be trustful and honest, which will make the Britishers appoint the Indians into civil servants or into civil services. English educated Indians will be appointed into British offices as civil servants. So, without having no much salary for the Indians, Britishers will be able to get honest and trustworthy officials from India. Anyhow, after this 1854 Wood's dispatch, several changes were also introduced into Indian education by the British government in the form of lots of education departments were established in India. Then university education also were started to give more importance. Then lots of universities in the areas of Calcutta, Madras, Bombay, etc. were set up during the period of 1857. Under the guidance of Education Department, lots of changes were started to implement in the school education also. So during the period of Britishers, along with the administrative changes just like army or judiciary etc., Britishers also had their own outlook about the Indian education system also. So today we discussed only about the changes or the important changes that made by the Britishers in Indian education under Orientalist and also the people who supported European learning. So students, let us stop now. We will continue the remaining portions in the next class. Thank you.